Hello everyone, this is Indrajit Ganguly and welcome to your history class. Dear students, in my last class I have discussed with you about the causes of revolt of 1857 and you understood that how the revolt was organized by the Indian soldiers at the army regiment and gradually it became a mass uprising. In my today's class I will discuss you about the leadership of the revolt, the spread of the rebellion, and finally the consequences of the revolt of 1857. As you all know that the revolt began at Meerut. I hope you know that Meerut is in Uttar Pradesh on 10th May 1857. Remember students, it is a very important thing. First of all, Mangal Pandey refused to touch the Enfield rifle and he revolted against the British Company on March 1857. But the revolt started in 10th May 1857 and soon spread to the adjoining areas. It was the first major expression of an organized resistance that left an everlasting impact on the colonial empire. Later on, the mutinous sepoys marched to New Delhi. In Delhi, the mutineers were joined by the Delhi sepoys and the city came under their control. On 11th May 1857, the mutinous sepoys proclaimed the last Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar as the emperor of Hindustan, and the most important, Bahadur Shah Zafar became the central leader of the revolt of 1857. The rebellion gradually spread to other parts of the country. Various regiments revolted and marched to join other troops at Delhi, Kanpur and Lucknow. The people in the towns and villages also revolted and rallied around local leaders and zamindars. For them, it was an opportunity to assert their authority. In this chart, you can see that Bahadur Shah Zafar was the central leader of the revolt. Remember students, Bahadur Shah Zafar appealed to the different leaders from different provinces, different territory to participate in the revolt. Just take an example of Peshwa Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmibai. Remember student, Peshwa Nana Sahib, he was the adopted son of Bajirao II, Peshwa Bajirao II. And I hope you know that the British government did not permit the theory of adopted son. So therefore, Kanpur was forcefully annexed by the British government. Just like the thing of Rani Lakshmibai. After the death of the king of Jhansi, there was no proper successor was there. So Jhansi was annexed by the British government. So therefore, Peshwa Nana Sahib and Lakshmibai, they both participate in the revolt for gaining their territory. Just like the example of Awadh. Awadh was ruled by Wajid Ali Shah, and Awadh was captured by the British government due to the policy of subsidiary alliance. Right. The queen of Wajid Ali Shah, Hajrat Mahal, also participated in the revolt for gaining their territory, and his son Birjis Qadir also participated for the same issue. Just take the example of Kunwar Singh. Kunwar Singh, he is a leader of Bihar. He was a zamindar of Bihar. Okay, and he took up arms and gave a good fight to the British forces. He was an expert in the art of guerrilla warfare. He successfully occupied Ara after 2 days of fighting. So these are the different types of leaders who participated in the revolt of 1857 for their different issues. Remember students, this chart is very important. I am requesting you to please write down this chart in your book because it will help you to understand about the revolt of 1857 and about the leadership of the revolt. We all understood that the revolt of 1857 was the massive rebellion and it was a great mass uprising. But unfortunately, the revolt of 1857 could not be succeeded. I personally believe that if the revolt succeeded, then definitely India will get the independence maybe in 1857 or 1858. But it was not possible and there are several reasons are there for the failure of the revolt of 1857. First of all, the revolt was fairly widespread. A large part of the country remained unaffected. I hope you remember that the major centers of revolt, basically these are situated in North India. So large part of countries like South India, okay, Western India was not affected by the revolt of 1857. And it failed to have an all India character. Rulers like Sindhia, Holkar, Rana of Jodhpur and others favored the British in suppressing the revolt. The rebels lacked resources in terms of men, money and arms. They fought with traditional weapons. On the other hand, the English possessed modern weapons like rifles, tanks and explosives. Indian middle class had no say in the revolt. On the other hand, English educated middle class and rich merchants, traders, zamindars helped the British to suppress the revolt. Some ruling classes participated for their personal gains and settled scores with their opponents. The rebels had no future plan of actions. Or we can say that the development of railways, communications like telegraph system helped the British to be ready for dealing with the revolt. So these are the reason for the failure of 1857 revolt. Remember students, after the failure of the 1857 revolt, Bahadur Shah Zafar and his family member were thrown out from the Red Fort of New Delhi, and this was the end of the Mughal dynasty from India. I hope you remember that Mughal dynasty was started in 1526 and finally it was ended in 1857. So Bahadur Shah Zafar and his family were thrown out from the Red Fort and finally they were exiled in Rangoon. Remember, Rangoon is recent day Myanmar. Okay, so this was the end of the Mughal dynasty. Okay, now let's have a look on the consequences of the revolt of 1857. The major consequences of the revolt of 1857 was that the British government established direct control over India, and the Queen of England, who was Queen Victoria, became the Empress of India, which means that by the revolt of 1857, it led to the end of the rule of East India Company and starting direct control of British throne. Okay, so it was an important consequence of the revolt of 1857. After successfully suppressing the revolt of 1857, in 1858, Queen Victoria passed a proclamation which is known as Queen Victoria's Proclamation. Here the word proclamation can be synonymous with declaration. So what are the declarations? The first declaration is that the Indian administration was taken over by the Queen Victoria, which in effect means the British Parliament, which means there was an end of the East India Company rule and there was a starting of the rule of Queen Victoria over India. So that means from 1757 to 1857, India was ruled under the British East India Company, and from 1858 to 1947, India was directly ruled under the British Parliament and British throne. Clear? Okay, next. The Governor General's office was replaced by the Viceroy. It is a very interesting thing. Remember student, India was controlled by the Governor General. Okay, Governor General basically he is the head of the British East India Company. During the revolt of 1857, Lord Canning, spelling C-A-N-N-I-N-G, Lord Canning, he was the Governor General of India. And remember, he was the last Governor General of India. After the revolt of 1857, Queen Victoria was totally stopped the post of Governor General, because I have told you that there was an end of the company rule and there was a starting of the rule of British throne. So the post was dismantled and a new post was created, and the post named was Viceroy. So the first Viceroy of India was Lord Canning. It is very important. Who was the last Governor General of India? Lord Canning. Who was the first Governor General? Who was the first Viceroy of India? That is Lord Canning. Very important for 1 mark question. Now, next, according to the Queen's proclamation, all the ruling chiefs and kings were assured that their territory would never be annexed in future, which means Queen Victoria cancelled the subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse policy. Next, a decision was taken to reduce the proportion of Indian soldiers in the army and increase that of Europeans. I think you understood that basically the Great Uprising was organized by the Indian soldiers. So after the revolt of 1857, the British government thought that they decide to reduce the number of Indian soldiers and increase the number of European soldiers. Next, and also according to the Queen Victoria's proclamation, it was guaranteed that the British government would never interfere in the socio-religious matters. I hope you remember that I have told you that British government stopped the customs like Satidaha system. They introduced widow remarriages. And some of the upper caste Hindus could not accept these things because they believed that the British are trying to interfere in the religious matters of India and destroy the social structures. So in the Queen Victoria's proclamation, it was decided that the government will not be interfere in any religious or social matters of India. This is it of the syllabus. And in my next classes, I will provide you question answers, class note and map work. Thank you and have a nice day.